most common time that you can help somebody is when they're down. And there are a lot of people that are down because they're at their end roads and they don't know where to turn. That when people come into any of our branch locations, that you outreach your arms and you help them and you see what their problems are. I think that's what we brought to this industry. I think that's what we brought to this community, that we try to outreach to the people that need us the most, and we're here to help serve them.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. It is 7:02 on Tuesday, June 17th. This is the regular meeting of the Spencer Finance Committee. And first, the minutes of the May 20th meeting that were emailed to everybody. You've all had a chance to review them. Any
The only correction I'd make to it is we don't have Tom Parker down as a member present, but yet he was listed as being a second on the motion. So I'm going to add his name to it.
Oh, thank you. He was here.
He was
Yeah,
here.
he was.
Yeah. All right. Good, thanks. And anything else? All right, somebody can make a motion to approve with that change?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as written now.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, in terms of correspondence, nothing, only thing in the box was the year-to-date budget report, which reflects Nancy's stipend, and it does not, I don't see the money, the transfer to the veterans yet that we made at the last meeting. Also some charge to pay for the ad for the town meeting and the box and the printing of the book. So that's all there was. Okay. Liaison reports. Julie, you didn't get to the meeting. You had a better offer last time. So I went and I took notes. Did you watch it on TV or?
I haven't watched the
Okay,
whole thing
no,
yet.
oh, and sometimes
Just
you do
part
when
of
you're-
it, Yep.
All right, so they had a variety of things to talk about that had, that may have had tangential effects on budget. But what they did was they decided to use $150,000 from their unexpended funds. And $3,200 from library supplies, $50,000 from tuitions, and $17,100 from workbooks, things that they didn't have to spend this year that was their essentially free cash. So that total to go into the computer fund. So that's what their
How much was that?
so, okay, so let's see, 220,300? Those are round numbers.
Okay.
I mean, I just wrote down round numbers. And then they talked about the budget. Then they talked about the budget issue, and as we know, when they had the, we had the override and the budget didn't, we had the budget passed at town meeting, but did not pass an override, so they still have no budget. So there were various suggestions. They had two members of the school committee, Vinnie Clear and Heather Messier, worked as a subcommittee with the business manager to come up with some budget cuts to, some things to do to cut the budget to save more money. They saved $110,000 by cutting an East Brookfield teacher and combining, one of the classes, it was either grade 3 going into grade 4, I think it's grade 3 going into grade 4, so grade 3 this year has 2 teachers. That, one of the teachers would have moved in to grade 4 because of the size of the class. There would have been 2 4th grades and 1 3rd grade. Now they've cut it down, there's only gonna be 1 3rd grade with, or 1 4th grade rather, with 29 students in it. And they're cutting 1 kindergarten from East Brookfield and 1 from Spencer, which leaves 14 to 20 kids per class. They saved $17,000 from FY15 by using FY14 money, but we'll catch up. We'll catch up in FY16. So the potential reductions were $189,400. They also recommend cutting or voted to cut the peer leaders, the team leaders at Knox Trail and the conflict mediators at Knox Trail. They will transfer $145,000 to reduce assessments to the 2 towns if the Chapter 70, if the transportation money comes through at 90% instead of 70%. So typically you get transportation, regional transportation reimbursement, and the state is supposed to reimburse, I believe 100%, I may be wrong, but a substantial percent, and they really don't have a history of doing that. They've been doing 65%. And then last year they did 70%. This year in the budget, in the state budget, is 90%. And the school committee says they've been assured, well, and Adam actually said the same thing, that he'd been assured that the 90% was going to go through. 90% reimbursement would be an extra $145,000. So Adam had asked, he had written a letter, it was at the selectmen's meeting a couple weeks ago, that asked them to, reduce the assessment by that much as well, or reduce the budget. But they were not comfortable doing that until they actually know if it comes through at 90 instead of 70. So what they did was they voted that if it comes through at 90 and that 145 is freed up, they will reduce the town's assessments by that much when it comes in the door. So they also said that the employee benefit, changes to the employee benefits including removing the retirees from GIC and negotiating with regular employees, the savings for FY15 will be $250,000. I believe they're going to apply $50,000 to their legal account and use $200,000 for technology. The new budget figure is $23,962,395, which is $189,400 reduction. They also have withdrawn the request, the $632 request for technology that was on the override. One of the articles we have tonight will be to request $143,488, which is the $117,000 that Spencer's willing to commit. And East Brookfield will then have to, their share will be reduced to $26,082. However, East Brookfield already committed $114,000. East Brookfield funded their budget without overrides or anything. They funded the school budget at the amount that was asked. And Spencer didn't. So if the East Brookfield decided to, they could use that whole amount that they appropriated to buy computers and computer-related things, with the stipulation that they would stay in East Brookfield, that they would be town property, that the town would have, that they couldn't come out of Spencer. There was a fair amount of conversation from folks, but the final vote was to request the 143,488 with the 117,000 that Spencer offered, and to have a new budget figure of $23,962,395. And if the Chapter 90, if the 90% transportation reimbursement comes through, to reduce the town assessments, not the budget, not the school budget, but the assessments to the towns. So those were the big things that relate to the budget that went on. One of our counterparts from East Brookfield stood up and said that he felt that if the original budget that the school committee had submitted was fair and reasonable, that they shouldn't be backing off, that they should stand by their guns, and say, nope, we turned in a fair and reasonable budget. Of course, other people commented as well that even though East Brookfield passed their whole budget and passed their share of the town budget, it's East Brookfield that's losing 2 teachers, elementary and, 3rd grade and kindergarten. So, that's pretty much what went on. I don't think there was anything else that related specifically to the budget. But if you have any other questions, I do have a couple other notes about other things. They appointed a superintendent search committee, and they're getting good reports from the state in terms of how they're handling their budget now, their monies now, how the new business management, new practices and protocols in place are doing what they're supposed to do for accountability and so on. So that's that. Okay, we don't have any other liaisons right now, right?
Yes, we do.
Oh, we do? Oh, I'm sorry, capital. Oops.
Met just before this meeting, because we had to vote on the 117,000.
Oh, okay. Oh, you
Had to
did.
recommend to the
Okay.
town administrator to, so 2-1, it was recommended that the town administrator just do his thing with the 117.
Did any of you happen to see that on TV, that meeting that night? Not last night, but a week ago, Monday, when they talked about all these things? No? Okay, just, when Adam explained it and everything.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Because that money came, because we didn't spend on the other capital items, we held off at the annual town meeting. That's where that 117,000 came from. Okay. All right. Okay, so now we have the warrant to review. 2 articles, that's it. Have you talked to Adam about this? Would you like to?
No, I
say
haven't,
more?
I haven't talked to him,
Okay,
so be my guest.
thanks. The bottom line is, this Article 1 is voting on the school budget at the reduced number, and it's divided exactly the same way it was at the annual. The 4 different chunks spread out so people can see what the 4 chunks are. And so the first one is for the operating assessment account, $5,725,754. Part 2 is for the operating assessment account for the transportation piece, $1,160,916, and a portion of that is what would be, if the state reimbursement comes through, would be reduced. And the third part, $252,394, is the debt service, Wire Village and so on, projects that have already been approved. And then the final $862,268 is the operating assessment, which represents the amount required for additional local assessment. Over 2.5, over the required minimum that the state asks for.
So how much is the override for?
So the override, well, if this passes, so this has to pass town meeting, and then the override will be for the total number, which is, that is the 862,200. No, it's not it, it's not right, wait a
Yeah,
minute,
because wasn't the over
Sorry.
500
it's
something?
on my other,
500 something.
it's on my other piece of paper, yeah. 419,000?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah, so the other issue is if this passes, the other discussion that went on at the selectmen's meeting. If this passes, if the school budget passes at the special town meeting next week, then they'll set a date for an override vote. That will be August 19th, if it passes. These dates, the spacing of these dates is all set by state law. You have to have a certain number of days for various things to happen. So the override, if the school budget passes on June 26th, they'll set the election date for the override for August 19th. If it fails, they'll wind up having a district-wide meeting, probably September 20th. And if it passes, so if this passes and they're going to have another ballot vote, the selectmen are also discussing whether or not to put the town request back on the ballot as well. So it would be the school and the town.
So they don't have to have it on?
No, because we already passed the
They
town
would-
budget.
Okay, so they would use the
20 for
same number?
district-wide,
Right,
Okay,
19
Right.
for the
we already
override.
passed the,
yeah.
the town budget.
The only reason you're doing it over again is because of a different
Different
amount.
number, yes.
Now,
yeah.
will this amount possibly change before?
This is,
the
no,
meeting?
this amount won't, the school committee has to certify an amount and send it to the town, and it can't change, without starting the clock all over again.
Well, you were talking about the Chapter 70 funds.
Oh, no, they would reduce the town's, first of all, that's never gonna, state's never gonna tell us that until, I don't know, Christmas, or who knows, you just don't know. That will be a reduction of the town's assessment, not of the school budget.
That's why they did it that way.
Right.
So that we can move forward with
Right.
this warrant.
Yeah. Right. So, it's all about bookkeeping.
Now, why isn't the override on part of this warrant?
It says, the article says, subject to
Contingent.
override.
It's contingent,
Contingent, yeah.
Contingent,
Mhm, Contingent and override.
I didn't like this
but
one.
usually you do that and then you vote,
Well, no, this is it. You have to vote.
it's all in here?
Yeah.
Oh, all
You
right.
vote,
You
you
just
vote.
kind of hide it.
you-
Yeah.
Well,
No, you
that's
have
what I
to
was
vote
against
for
last
the,
time, is
you
it's
vote
just
for
not
the,
telling you clearly what,
you vote for the budget number at the town meeting. But, and if it says
Oh,
contingent on
that's
an
true,
override.
because it's the questions.
Right, the question is, do you approve spending this amount of money?
Right,
And it's contingent on an override. And it
Yeah.
doesn't have to go that way. You could have the override first and then have the meeting after,
Mhm.
too. It doesn't matter. It just requires one meeting for the budget, one meeting to set the number,
Mhm.
and one meeting to figure out how you're gonna pay for it. Because the override's figuring out how to pay for it.
Okay.
And this number is the total budget, not, it's the whole. I'm sorry, this is our share, the 5 million, whatever this adds up to is Spencer's share. But that number that I told you, the 23 million, whatever, is the total budget, that includes all the state aid and things like that. But this is just our share. So,
So the override will be to fund strictly the schools the way it's set up now.
it's set up now, right, there'll be a question to fund the schools.
Yeah, okay.
That if this passes. Now, between now and when they set the election, the selectmen have been talking about, or they talked about at that meeting 2 weeks ago, did they want to put an override question on for the town side? They also talked about whether that override question would be one or grouped by department, not every line item separately, but like saying, putting Parks and Recs and Library together, for example, saying, recreational services, putting town hall, government services, town hall type things, so having maybe 4 different numbers, so that they have not committed to putting the town override, nor have they not, they've neither committed nor not committed to putting the, but they will not have an election if this fails at town meeting. Because there'll be nothing to, they won't just have an election to put the town back on. And the reason for the time frame is last year, these things came up very late, and so the whole sequence was late. So by the time the town knew how much the state set the budget at and was going to assess, the town didn't have time to have an override election. These things are very, you have to have this many days and for certain things. And last year, after that after the budget failed at the joint town meeting, by the time the budget got set, there was no time for an override. So the town had to figure out where to get the money out of the existing funds that the town already had. So they're trying to head that off, right, this year, they're trying to head off the crunch time at the end. And so if the override fails, first of all, if the budget vote fails next Thursday, the 26th, which is the special town meeting, then the next thing will be a district-wide meeting, okay, joint town meeting. If it passes, the next thing will be an election, a ballot vote on August 19th. If that passes, it's all good. If that doesn't pass, then there'll still be the joint meeting. If that passes, then the town will have time to try an override for, once again, to fund the town and the schools. And the state won't have to set the budget. If that doesn't pass and the state sets the budget, there'll still be time to ask again for an override. So these things are just all set out about timing with every possible scenario. That's what they do. So.
Scary.
Are you playing over
No,
there?
I was putting the
Oh, all
dates
right.
in.
The
Plus I have
tentative
my
dates.
warrant online.
Oh.
you
Oh, I
so-
know, and I didn't grab my computer. I don't know where, well, I do know where, I do know where my hand was at. But anyway, sorry.
I'm saving my home budget by not printing.
I know, that's why I usually grab my little computer and what else to do without it. So, anyway, the first article, or only 2 articles on the warrant, and the first one is the school budget. The second one is the authorization to appropriate the funds for capital purchase by the school district. And that Article 2 reads, to see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $117,406.00 for the purpose of funding a computer upgrade project for the Spencer East Brookfield Regional School District, and to meet said appropriation by transferring said sum from previously certified and available free cash. So that's where that money
This
is.
cleans out the bank account, right? More or less?
Yeah.
Cleans out the bank account?
Cleans it out.
For now, yeah.
Now,
Then, until the next round of free cash is certified. Well, it's, I mean, it's what's left over. They accounted for things that they need, like snow and ice, and
It's on this fiscal too.
it's,
Yeah.
right, it's on this year.
We're gonna be certified in the fall.
You're right.
So we're
Yeah.
anticipating to
Yeah.
have a little slush fund.
Yeah, but they had, well, and before that, I mean, this is the money left after they figured out snow and ice and a couple other things
Yeah.
too. So, but yeah, that would essentially, and I believe it means most of the capital things that you approved aren't getting funded. The ones you approved in the spring,
Yeah, nothing's happening
right,
with those, yeah.
exactly. So that's it.
So the computer purchase, they had asked to borrow $600 and something thousand, so they've moved it, a lot of that into the regular budget by cutting some other line items?
Yeah, what happened, so what they did is, like, their equivalent of free cash, they apparently froze all spending, starting in, I don't know, September,
maybe.
October, yeah.
2 years ago?
So they have, I mean, pencils, everything. They spent only what they had to for heat, light, hot water, and salaries, I think. So they hung on to it. Oh, plus the state made them set aside a contingency fund. I think it was $170,000. They had to put aside as well. And that was to cover any untoward things. So that money was there. They literally spent apparently nothing on anything they didn't have to spend it on. And then, but they also are managing to move forward a couple of things that they, let me put my notes together. A couple of things that they were able to fund from this year, from some of that leftover money this year as well. Some of it will go to tech, and then a couple of other, so like the workbooks and things that they had asked for. And so so they've got a chunk to kick in, we've got a chunk to kick in, East Brookfield has a chunk to kick in. And so it'll get them somewhere on the road to beginning to get back to having computers. I mean, I talked to the high school librarian, so she's no library budget, none, zero. Because she's a certified librarian, certified school library teacher, the high school belongs to the state regional library system. The state Mass library system. And between Mass Library System and Mass Board of Library Commissioners, they purchase many, many online databases. The online databases are the things like, the old Reader's Guide. Well, now you get not only Reader's Guide, but you get all the articles that go with them and back them up, indexes, all kinds of things. That is worth something on the order of 400, now what did they tell me? 400 something $1,000 worth of databases and things. She can't use because she doesn't have any computers in the library. So no money for books, no access to information because there are no computers in the library. So these are the kinds of things, I mean, but think about leveraging that much money in subscriptions that the kids are doing without. So these are the kinds of things that'll get them back on track with their online access. So would anybody have any more questions, comments? Would anyone care to take any action on this, on Article 1?
Come on, don't be afraid, speak up.
I'll make a motion to accept the warrant, Article 1 is written.
Okay.
We're doing one at a time, right? One at a time.
Well, yeah.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion of the warrant, of the Article 1? All right.
One question, how
Sure.
come they can't have the override amount listed as part of the warrant? As to what the actual dollar value would be?
It's part 4, I believe. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not, no.
Well, it's part of part
Because
4.
it's not about,
It's part of
well,
it,
but
so-
they'll be able to answer that question at town meeting. But it doesn't belong here. It's not part of this question. But they'll be able to, if Adam was here, he could tell you exactly.
What they're telling you is that the funding that you're being provided needs this other component from the override. I mean, it has to come from the override because otherwise it's going to come from your policemen, your firemen, and town hall.
Yeah.
All right, and that number may shift, that may jog around until we get to town meeting and we know where we're at. But when you go to the ballot, they would know what that number is.
They will know, and they'll have a pretty good idea at town meeting. It's just not matter for this question,
Okay.
okay? So, it's, yeah, they do have the, and Adam would be able to tell it to you, and as I said, when I looked out at the selectmen's meeting, it leaves us a $419,000 deficit. And overall. So it's somewhere, and how that,
So the point is, just by adopting Article 1,
419.
you're looking at $419,000 deficit on the existing budget. So we would have to come back in the fall and take $419,000 from something else, unless we had an override that allowed us to raise that money.
but this
Through
also
extra
says that
taxation.
if the override doesn't pass, that this budget doesn't pass either, that it has to be redone yet again.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, I thought I had this clearly written down, how much,
Well, it did
It
at the
was gonna
time,
be-
Mary.
yeah. So, yep. So that's, I think, but the total is about 419,000
Excuse me.
for the school and the town. Because I have another note here that says 252,000 for the town.
You're saying this would be the total?
The note I have here says that after everything they talked about, this is from the selectmen's meeting, that it leaves us with a $419,000 deficit.
Overall, not just the school.
I don't think so, I think it's overall, because we had gotten down to,
If we adopt this school
if we
budget.
adopt this budget.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. So,
I mean, it always looks great. It gets passed, it's, town hall, you go to the ballot box, and then people stay home. It isn't so much the ones that voted, they voiced their right and did
Yeah.
what they did. It's the other 6,000 who never budged.
and then you said, people said to me, I talked to Lori the other night, and she said, people are coming in saying, what happened, how come the town hall hours are changing? The librarian's saying,
Why is the transfer station gonna be closed? I didn't know it was gonna be closed.
yeah.
It's
and
not
Where
said-
you been?
Closed
and-
one
and-
day.
Yeah, no, I know, well,
and-
that's what I mean, just the one
and-
day, but they
and-
didn't know
and the
this.
library. People are shocked, they don't get it,
Yes, they don't get it.
That is the point, they
Yeah.
don't get it.
they, I don't know if anybody's saying to you, people
I mean,
certainly
every
said stuff to me,
Every meeting that we have had has been right there. And we told them over and over and over again what that was the results of voting against them bills.
But
So they
even,
can't say they weren't told, because they were told.
and then half, right, there's nothing we can do. I've had this conversation with several people in several different venues. We can only do the best we can do about getting information out. People have to assume responsibility for learning these things and getting this and for getting it. It's not only here, it's everywhere. But the, I think somebody said that 30% of the ballots had no votes for anything on the back. You know how the override was on the back? and the Yeah, somebody said.
There were questions on
the
back of the
Not
ballot.
30%?
Registrars, when I went and picked up my ballot, they said, make sure you turn it over, because there's questions on the back.
Oh, yeah, they didn't say that to me, I went looking for them, but, no, but somebody told me that.
If you want the numbers, somebody asked last night. On the town one, there was 36 blanks out of over 2,000 votes. On the school question, there was 40 to 45 on both blanks.
Oh, okay, all right, so
So-
I
Total.
misunderstood, I thought it was 30, they must have said 36, and
Number,
I thought
not
they
the
said
percent.
30%,
Right.
okay, that's,
Oh, this is
never
high.
mind, whoa,
Yep.
thanks, Beth. So,
Some of those could have been done on purpose too, some people might have chosen.
oh, that's sure, I
Well,
mean.
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, that's happened. But more important than, yes, if we want the town to survive, we want the money, but the vote to be yes, but more important is vote, come out.
Just
come
vote.
out And vote, however you vote. Vote, come to town meeting and come out and vote. So we have a motion on the table,
You got a second.
and we have a second. And is there any additional discussion? Ready for a vote? All right, all in favor of recommending that the voters approve Article 1, please say aye. Aye, any opposed? All right, thank you. Now, Article 2 is to authorize the appropriation of the funds for capital purchase by the school district. For funding a computer upgrade project for the Spencer Brookfield Regional School District. Anybody care to?
I make a motion, we approve.
Okay.
Second.
Ms. Reed?
All right, any further questions, comments, or discussion? All right, all in favor of recommending approval of Article 2, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, unanimous again. Thank you very much. Let's see, if we have anything else on, oh, so the next, all right, so the next thing on the agenda, I just want to say again loudly and clearly for anybody who's listening, the special town meeting is a week from Thursday. That's 9 days from today, June 26th at 7 o'clock in Town Hall. Okay, so it's very, very quickly coming up. So mark your calendars. And then our next regular meeting would be July 15th. We'll see if we need it or not. Sometimes we don't wind up meeting in July because there's nothing to meet about, but this year, who knows? If we need a special meeting on Thursday, the 26th, I will let you know and post it early enough, but I don't anticipate, unless something else comes up, I don't anticipate that happening, but if we did, it would be at 6:30. All right. Anybody have any other business? Anything they'd like to bring up? Okay.
Anybody want to make a tree?
All right, then there's that other motion, if anyone wants to make it.
Make a motion that we adjourn for the
Okay.
evening.
Thanks,
Second.
Julie. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
Nope.
thank you.